Hello, hi there. Welcome to Joey Ong Property. In today's episode, I would actually like to share a very prominent question that is, do not sell your HDB flats. And in fact, when I actually go down to the ground to actually do some door knockings, and when I have some exchanges with the residents of a HDB, so after understanding their situation, I fully agree that it is actually better not to sell your HDB. And today episode, I'll be sharing with you, do not sell a HDB until you follow through to the end of this episode. So I shall begin now. So I have actually prepared some slides. I will open up first to share. Yes, do not sell a HDB. I have this very colorful, very traditional old kind of HDB at the background, in the background here. Do not sell. Why is it that do not sell until you check this out that I'll share with you? And how is the property market now? So I have a disclaimer. Whatever that I've shared in this video is solely of my own personal opinion. So the content that I'll be following through will be, how is the property market performing now? The HDB resale prices, private resale prices, new launches prices. Part 2 of the sharing will be crisis after crisis, micro factor, macro factor, and solution strategy. And last but not least, the third part of the sharing will be, I'll be doing a case study. What are my options after selling HDB flat? New launch or resale? And finally, asset planning and legacy. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, over here in the background, we have a HDB resale prices. And in this chart here, we can see it's actually a 10-year chart from 2011 to 2021. You can see that from 2011, right, the price index is about 125 in the midpoint here. And then it starts to actually increase until all the way until about 2013. Prior to peak in the 2013, HDB resale prices have been increasing steadily. And this reminds me of the time when I actually entered real estate in 2010. I remember the time when I actually entered, yes, HDB was really hot. I remember when we actually sell HDB flat, it is actually a seller market. So there was also occasion whereby seller was like waiting in the house, right? And the buyer will queue up. And then there are buyers who can even like readily offer, give an option and exercise on at the same time. And that was how hot, queue up and then give an offer on the day when we actually showed house. And fast forward 2013. So in 2013, right, there was an introduction of ABSP, LTV and MSR, and were further revised in January, followed by the introduction of TDSR in June. An additional measure in August to stabilize the HDB resale market. So because of this cooling measure, right, that was being introduced, the HDB prices start to drop steadily all the way, and there was a stagnant period between 2015 to 2017. Around this period, the government also actually shared about how not all the HDB flat will be en bloc and given new flats as well. And then there were further revision in 2018 for LTV. So HDB resale dropped for 24 consecutive quarters, about 6 years, from 2013 all the way to 2019. So after hitting the rock bottom about in quarter 2 of 2019 at about 130.8 index, the resale prices start to increase slowly, a very gentle gradient. Then you can see circuit breaker due to the COVID-19 virus, right, hit us in 2020. And then circuit breaker began in, I think, in March. So then we start to experience actually more people working from home, and there was more demand for housing property and larger home. So you can see that there was a rapid increase, a sharp increase actually, in fact, of the HDB resale prices upwards all the way from 2020 until 2021. And it hit about 2021 at a price index of 155.7. And as far as we are aware, the price HDB resale prices continue to increase as of 2022 March. Okay, now let's take a look at the new launches versus resale prices of non-landed home. Okay, once again, we are looking at this table. It is also a 10-year chart, so we can have a historic view of the past 10 years, how the resale, how the new homes are performing in terms of the prices. So the blue line will actually represent new sale, and the orange line will represent the resale property. So as you can see here, resale home actually the average price about 1,000, average out like in Singapore. So it began to increase continuously until 2012, and then continue to increase until 2013. So 2013 in January, we have the ABSP introduction, further introduction. And 2013 June, we have a total debt servicing ratio. So because of this cooling measure, right, we can see that the resale prices start to decline from 2013 until 2015. There was a little increase overall in the Singapore property market for resale home, and then it continued to increase but slowly, and then you can see that there was a continuous increase, but very slowly. In July 2018, there was a further measure of ABSD. Then when the introduction of the additional ABSD in 2018, we start to see a little drop here in 2018. But after a while, it started to increase again to 2019, and there was a little fall. And by the time we hit 2020, we start to actually experience a sharp increment. And that was once again due to the pandemic outbreak in the Q1 2020, when most people actually stay at home and there was more demand in property. Let's take a look comparatively in the new launches. So in 2011, about 10 years ago, right, the prices of resale, the prices of new launches will be about 1,400 per square feet. So it start to decline a little to 2012, hitting about 1,002 per square feet. And thereafter, from mid of 2012, right, there was an increment to 2013. Okay, to about 1,000, close to 1,400, and start to continues to increase. So overall, you can see that there was a more increment compared to the resale homes. And once again, in 2018, you can see that there was additional ABSD that was introduced. And every time when there was an introduction, it will start to slow down a little for the demand and for the price index here. But subsequently, right, after the cooling measure, right, it will start to pick up again. The market will start to pick up again. That was a trend that is being observed throughout the 10-year cycle. And then it increased again. Once again, there was a little drop here. Once again, once we hit the 2020, we experienced a sharp increase, a sharp gradient here. So from maybe the average of 1,600, 1,700 per square feet, then we start to experience that the price per square feet will start to escalate until now. Average per square feet for new homes is at about 2,248 across Singapore. So this is what we observe for the new launch versus resale prices. Here are some news articles, one of which I picked up is from the International Bloomberg Research. So this is a very recent article. So in March 2022, so as we are aware, right, the Singapore property market, especially in rental, there is really a huge demand now because people are looking for homes to stay. And for those who are selling the homes, right, even the local Singaporeans, right, maybe they sell away their current places and they are waiting for their new homes to be completed, the TOP project. So they may need a temporary home. So that will also add on to the demand for rental. So demand from the local population will keep the condo market buoyant for landlord. So indeed, it was very true. From the ground, right, I used to rent out maybe, for example, a HDB for 3,000. Now I can hit mid to high end of 3,000. The increments can be easily from 500, can be from few hundred to 1,000. So likewise, vice versa for the condo demand as well. Usually, if we list out a listing, it is usually list out pretty fast within a few days or within a week. So long as the price is still reasonable, not very is the current trend that we are experiencing now. Okay, another article that I'm sharing here is a worldwide research. Singapore resilient real estate market is acting the pandemic test. In Asia, Singapore has performed significantly better than its peers, coming out of the crisis even stronger in certain areas of the property industry. Because of the stability and the control of the COVID-19, so Singapore is actually viewed as a more attractive place in Asia to set up their homes and a more multicultural society. So example of the appeal of the nation property sector also include the blooming residential market and also the strong grade A office rent. Moving on. Okay, moving on, I have another article to show you about the current HDB transaction volume. So in the past, right, usually the towns that are actually performing or those HDB flat which have been sold more than 1 million will include the more central places like Queenstown, one of my favorite. It's also one of the towns that I began my property career in. And also in Bishan, Queenstown, Bishan. And now we also have our northern neighbor, right, Yishun. Okay, we have this article here 2 weeks ago. Okay, HDB flat. Okay, so I'm sharing the article here, which can be found in Google. HDB flat first in Yishun to sell for more than 1 million. But analysts say such sales won't be common. Okay, so we are saying that HDB flat. Usually, one of the first executive flat was in Queenstown, then Bishan. So now Yishun also hit more than 1 million. I'm not surprised to hear that because overall HDB flat are still relatively very affordable when you actually calculate based on the per square foot compared to private residence. So that's why it's still a very down to earth and highly sought after accommodation. So these are some of the performance of HDB. Okay. Let me continue. Okay. Second part of my sharing will be yet another crisis. Crisis after crisis. The first crisis that we experienced recently was 2020, about 2 years back when we have the COVID-19. So people were hesitant. They wasn't sure that what will happen after the COVID-19. Will the property market go on a downturn, and will the prices go down? Most people were taking the back seat and to see and observe what will happen next, and rather than to do anything first. And then in actual fact, so what actually happened? Let us take a look. Let me continue. Okay, I'm back to this screen here now. So crisis after crisis. After COVID-19 crisis, okay, we have the external factors. We have 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, we have the full pandemic. So moving on, now we have the COVID-19 in 2020. And of course, recently we have also the war in Ukraine. What will happen? These are all the external factors that's affecting the global climate, and also will in turn also affect property. Okay, however, we always like to go back to the past and take a look what actually happened, to see whether history repeat. What can we learn from the past? Okay, we actually have more than more than 2 decades of cycle here for the past transaction to observe from. Okay, it began from 1997. Okay, then 1998, there was a downturn in the property. Okay, because of the economic crisis. And then 2003, I remember there was a SARS that break out. So property prices were stagnant for a while, as you can see from this blue color line here. The blue color lines will represent the price of the property market. You see, this was being affected. So it's not going down, but it's like very slowly. I mean, overall, this is an overall price. Then it continued to recover slowly. And I think at the end of 2006, start to slowly and then sharply increase until 2008. Once you hit 2008, right, because of Lehman Brothers crisis, right, then we are also affected. The property market actually experienced a downturn for like almost 2 years, and it hit another bottom here, which have like 4 quarters, 2 years, as represented here, right, you have minus 24.9%. Then from 2009 quarter 3 to 2013 quarter 3, that's about 17 quarter. That is about, let me see, about 4 years. You actually, or 17 quarter, you observe a 62.2% increment after Lehman Brothers crisis, right, start to pick up again until 2013. 2013, right, because of the internal factor of the government introduction of 2013 cooling measure, once again we begin to observe, to control the property market, so that people won't speculate the prices, and there's a healthy property market. So you can see that because of the cooling measure being introduced, right? So over from 2013 quarter 3 to 2017 quarter 3, that is again for about four years, about 15 quarters, there was a observation of a negative minus 11.6% in the prices. And from 2017 to 2018 quarter 3, there was a more rapid increment. The market started to pick up very healthily, 5 quarter plus 9.6%. And then you can observe here from, we start continue to increase slowly. let's fast forward a little, about once again, so the increment will be plus 9.6% over 5 quarter. Then thereafter, there was a increment of 3.5% over 3 quarter. And here, at the beginning of quarter 2020, let me 2020, during the COVID-19 and then circuit breaker, then we observe again there was a sharp gradient here, plus 13.4% over 7 quarters. So every time, what we observe from the past is usually wherever there's a crisis, right, be it external, like for example, the economic downfall, we observe that there is we definitely will be affected. So you will observe that the property market and prices will go down. But thereafter, because there's still a demand here, a real demand here supported by healthy affordability, right? Then it will start pick up. Then every time you'll be affected by external factor, but it will still recover gradually. And then also we observe that if let's say it's internal measure like government measure, usually it will start to slow down. Prices will be affected and go down, decline. But after some time, right, it will start to pick up again. So this is the trend that we observe. So in summary, despite all the measure and crisis, right, prices will still inch up. Prices will still continue to inch up and recover. Okay, how about other factors like inflation? Inflation is really a real issue over here that affect our property purchase. I think it affect everybody with anyone. In fact, inflation hit up in December. This is the source is from Straits Times MAS. Okay, you can see from the graph here, right? Is okay. You can see here consumer price index for all items is about at 4%. And then the core inflation is about 2.1%. Okay. Then once again, another chart here that is from Prominence Research and URA and 𝐸𝐴 Research. So consumer price index now versus consumer price index versus private property price index. So we can observe here the blue line here is representing the consumer price index. You can see that maybe 2004, the price index is PPI is about 120. So after a 10-year decade, so the increments from 120 become about 140. So from 2014 until 2021, quarter 4, it continued to increase. Then let's take a look at PPI, Private Property Index, Private Property Price Index, which is represented by this, I think, dark green line. It started at 2004 at PPI at PPI is at 80. So it continued to increase overall until it hit about 100, close to 180. Okay, I have one more chart here. Consumer price index versus property price index. So you can see this is an observation for the past about 20 years, from 2002 to 2019. So horizontal line will represent the years, and then the vertical will be representing the percentage change in the median monthly household income. So you can see. So you can see the percentage change in the median monthly household income. There is an increment. So overall increase of 41.9% over 17 years. Average per year is about 2.46. So how has it got to do with property purchase? I think consumer price index is a very real issue. Even it affects us. All the prices of the food that we eat, consume every day has also increased. The car that we purchase, or the house that I purchased. Just to share with you guys a recent marketing experience, I was buying the grocery and I just realized that I'm not so observant about buying how much each item is, but it just happened that I was buying this tray of egg, and then I realized the tray of 30 eggs from like 𝐻𝐿 supermarket cost me $7.20. I remember it was like $4 to $5 for a tray of 30 eggs. Even when I buy from the egg supplier, there was this uncle who delivered eggs to our house, provision shop downstairs. I think I paid about, and it's much bigger egg. Usually he will charge me for the bigger egg, I think it's $7. So I was quite surprised that the smaller egg at 𝗬𝐿 supermarket. 𝗬𝐿 is a local supermarket. It will cost $7.20, and it's not those big eggs. So that's how fast how much the deviation of the consumer prices. So what should we do? If the increment for the salary, right, income is not that much compared to those consumer price, property price, how can one weather through all the challenges? How can we then be self-sufficient? What is the solution or strategy towards this rising capital? Perhaps one of the solution or strategy that we can adopt is to increase our capital. So how can we increase our capital? Given the rising inflation, given the rising price index, and so forth. So as we are aware, property is one of our biggest asset or capital. So perhaps we can see what we can do to increase our asset, that is our property or our HDB. So to be very real life and down to the ground, so I have prepared one case study to share with all of you. So let me do a sharing and I open up my slide. I have a case study here that I would like to share. Do a slideshow. Okay, this is the case study that I'm sharing. Okay, we have a case study scenario that we can analyze together. We have a couple, working couple. They are aged about 35 years old. They are married with 2 children, young children who are attending preschool. Both couple are working professional, PMET. The husband income is about 6,000, while the wife income is about 5,000. So they are both employed. They have a property which is a 4-room HDB flat in Queenstown, and they have bought several years ago, and the purchase price was approximately about 450,000, and they already met the MOP. So using logic, we're analyzing logic and emotion, what they can do. Let's explore further. What are their options here? Okay, option 1, should they keep their HDB flat? And especially because for the case study, let's say, for example, the the couple's parents are staying nearby. So it is also more convenient for the couple, right, to stay nearby, to continue to stay there, so that they can visit their parents easily. And should they need any help from the parents, right, to look after their young children, it is also very convenient. So they continue to stay put first. And moreover, they also have young children who are attending preschool around the vicinity, which is also a short walking distance. It's very convenient. And also we have another option that is to sell and cash out, sell and upgrade to a newer condo, which is better. So let's analyze this. So option one, we sell and cash out, sell and upgrade to a newer condo, sell the current one, the HDB flat in Queenstown, upgrade. If they were to sell, how much cash and money profit can they get? Okay, let's take a look at the Queenstown HDB 4-room transaction. This is a very recent HDB transaction that I've extracted from one of the research data, square foot. So you can see for Dawson 4-room HDB flat, this is an example. Dawson is quite a new HDB flat that has recently MOP the last 1-2 years. And there was one unit that was on the higher floor that was transacted about 828,000. That give rise to per square feet of about 927 per square feet. So we also want to take a look at the data Queenstown HDB 4-room flat transaction. So we take a look at a 10-year chart of the transaction for a Strathmore 4-room HDB flat. Data extracted from January 2010 to March 2022. So as you can see here, okay, let me share with you why I actually extracted this Strathmore, because Strathmore HDB flat was one of the newer MOP flat in 2010. So during that time, the price was about, the resale transaction was about 340 per square feet. And then after it meet the MOP, the price will actually increase steadily because they were new HDB flats. So many HDB buyers, right, buying for resale, right, they will look at newer home if they cannot wait for the BTO flats, which you usually take 3 to 4 years to complete. So you see that the price will increase steadily until the highest point at the peak of 2013. That is the highest point, which is about 480 per square feet. Thereafter, because of the cooling measure implemented by the government, the ABSD, so you realize that, and also because of the age of the HDB flat, which at this point at 2013, right, the Strathmore HDB flat is about 8 years old by 2013. In 2010, it is about 5 years old. Then another 3 more years is about 8 years old. Then we start to see a decline in the price until it hit about 420 per square feet. And then it start to be a little stagnant here. The price remain there's some fluctuation up and down until 2019. Then they start to increase a little. But also take note, as mentioned earlier in the price data in part 1, there were also the introduction of the, not introduction, but rather government also announced that not all HDB flat will be en bloc. But the impact here is not huge because this is still a very central location. So that's why the price still hold, but it was stagnant. It didn't increase much until 2019 start to increase gradually a little. And of course, when we actually have the first quarter of 2020, we realized that because of the COVID-19 and people are staying at home once again, and then the demand for HDB property in general have spec up and increases rapidly. So for our case study for the couple, right, if they want to sell, they can get an estimated about 800,000. So we less off the outstanding loan about 200,000, CPF refund 200,000, CPF accrued maybe 100,000. All in all, sales 800 minus 500 here. So their sales profit will be about 300,000. So their available fund for the next property will include the sales proceed 300K, the CPF and accrued interest refund 300K, and their loan, given that they are age 35 and their income, they can loan up to 1.3 mil. They have a saving about 100K cash for property. So their available funding will be 1.9 million. Just now I actually shared about their loan is 1.3 million. How did I actually derive this figure? So we actually did a calculation. If the applicant 1, the income is about 5,000, age 35. Applicant 2, income is about 6,000, age 35 too, using our special calculator, loan calculator. So if they were to purchase private property, they can loan up to a period of 30 years, another 30 years, and the quantum combined, right, will be about 1.3 mil. That's how I derived 1.3 mil. So let's take a look about their financing. So we can take a look. Perhaps they want to have a reserve, like we purchase something a little lower. So at 1.7 million or 1.8 million. So the interest rate is around approximately about 1.5% now. 30 years loan tenure, and the loan to value is about 75%. Can loan up to 75% of the purchase price. So if let's say they buy a property at 1.7 million, the loan amount is 1.275 million, and the monthly repayment will be 4,400, which is shared between the husband and the wife, which is quite affordable given their income. Another scenario will be purchase price at 1.8 million, same 1.5% interest, 30 years loan, 75% of the loan quantum. Loan amount will be 1.35 million, and their monthly repayment will be 4,659. So moving on from here, so whether they purchase a new launch or resale condo, I will share more in another episode, but over here I'll just share briefly. For the case study scenario, right, I actually came up with some areas that they can consider because they are right now staying in District 3, so they can consider nearby their home, not too far away from their parent, will be District 3, 4, 5, 3 Queenstown, Bukit Merah, Clementi area, West Coast, 9, 10, 11, 3 bedder, they can have a budget of within 1.7 to 1.8 million. 9 years of freehold, they meet a minimum of 900 square feet onwards. So they can consider this area, which is still near Queenstown, Clementi, District 5. Queenstown, they can consider if there is any. Okay, this is the area of consideration. Or is there anything they can consider near the District 9, Orchard area, Dhoby Ghaut area? Okay, let's explore. I came up with some options for them, but these options can be more. They can have a unit, a 3-bedroom in 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 Park in District 5 that is very close to where they are staying. Pool. Yeah, and this project, we have 3-bedder at 1.76 million, which has a square feet of 969 square feet. They can also consider Park Clementi's. The TOP is also around next year, December 2023, like 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 Park. So not too long. Well, they can consider to sell their house and stay with their parents, or if necessary, rent a place, but for a short duration. So a 3-bedroom where there are still units, but not many. 3-bedroom, dual key have 1.9, or 3-bedroom 2.3 mil, which is a bit higher over their budget. So perhaps they can consider these two in District 5. They can also consider in 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥 area, which is District 21. We have dairy farm, but they're selling pretty fast, but they only left like 2-bedder. Or we also have in District 21, we have Forex, a 3-bedroom, which is actually a freehold, and it's also going to TOP in 2023. And Forex at 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥 District 21, 3-bedroom deluxe with 1.89 million for 947 square feet. Or key residences, which is by 𝐻𝐻, but this the TOP a bit longer at 2024. The 3-bedroom deluxe will be about 1.9 million over there, which is in District 21 also, a little longer for TOP, which is in 2024. 3-bedroom will be 1.76. And they can also explore, we can also explore more options in District 9 or 10, but maybe for a 2-bedder. So what are my resale options? So in resale option, they can look around the vicinity. They can look around like the Trialing, Clementi area. So we can also look at Tanglin, West Coast side, Blue Horizon. Okay, and so on. So we will also explore more options here. So now we come to the second option, because they find so convenient to stay nearby their parents' flat, which is maybe a few minutes walking distance away. So they want to keep. They say, I think now is not the time. The price of the property is increasing so much than before. I don't think now is the time. We will hold first and see what we can do later. Okay, then let's also take a look. What happened for those HDB owner who didn't sell their HDB flat after MOP and they choose to keep, or maybe they choose to rent out and move elsewhere. So we take a look at their performance. Queenstown HDB flat 4-room 10-year cycle. So once again, I pick up the graph that I showed you for Strathmore. HDB flat, which MOP in 2010. So like just now what I already shared. So after the initial 5 years, right, the price has picked up steadily until 2013. So it increased steadily for the first 3 years after MOP. After the MOP has reached, and after 3 years after MOP, it starts to decline and stagnant for a long time, for a really good long time. Price decline, downturn, and stagnant for a whole 8 years from 2013 until 2019, 2020, until it started to pick up again because of the opportunity. The prices that give rise to opportunity. That's why they always say crisis, 危机, which is crisis in Chinese, right? They say 危机, 因为危机所以有机会. Somehow it's true because of this opportunity. And also once again, because of it seems like it is falling into a 10-year cycle. After 10 years, the price start to increase again. So this is really an opportunity. So for those who didn't sell immediately, right, after MOP, if they sell in between, probably they couldn't get a good price as well. Now is another good time if they are ready. And also, this is also another additional information. So what happens if you sell after age 55? Maybe the couple decided to, and this is really a quite prime central location. I don't want to sell first. And it's so convenient. Go anywhere also convenient, maybe 10-15 minutes drive. Or maximum 20 minutes. So if they decide to stay, okay, we stay. If they sell the house before age 55, right, they can get the refund, principal amount, accrued interest to old ordinary account, and they're able to buy the next house with the OA saving. But if they actually hold until age 55 and sell house, then they need to refund the principal and the interest amount withdrawn from retirement account in CPF, put it in CPF for retirement account. If it's not enough, they still have to top up the RA account to the full retirement sum. and remaining refund will be paid out to member. So if you sell after 55, you need to refund the principal interest, right, from the sales proceed into the retirement account, and not enough, so you have to top up. And you're able to use the RA saving above basic retirement sum and OA saving for your next house. That means that you need to put the sales proceed into the retirement account, and the balance will be then available for buying the next house. Now let's take a look after a 10-year period. What happens if the couple actually decided to take option 1 to sell and upgrade to a newer property, or option 2 if the couple decided to keep their existing HDB. So let me do a screen share again. So, okay, so after 10 years, for example, the figure, estimated figure forecasted. So, for example, if they bought, they sell away the HDB flat and they bought a 1,000 square feet property at 1,800 per square feet, a new launch, and assuming the appreciation is about $500 per square feet, which will be 2,300 per square feet. So the appreciation will be 500,000. So on the other hand, if the couple decided to actually adopt option 2, which is to keep their existing HDB flat and decide later on what they want to do, yes, no doubt the HDB will also have a price appreciation. So maybe average about 15% over 10 years. So the house value, HDB value, will increase from 800,000 to 920,000. So comparing 2.3 million versus 920K, which is less than a mil, what do you think? Have they missed the boat 10 years ago where they could actually sell the property, HDB property, at a higher price at the peak of the cycle, property cycle, and bought the other property when they were also younger? Given that now, after 10 years, they are age 45, the loan quantum could be much lower compared, could be higher or lower, but the loan tenure definitely is lower. Maybe last time they could actually borrow up to like 30 years. Now they can borrow up to 20 years, 45 plus 20, up to 65 years. So how do you make a decision for your property, which is your beloved home, which is one of the biggest assets that most of us have? Do we use a logic or do we use emotion here? So if you could turn back the clock at the time, would you have changed your decision to make a decision to sell your home or property, HDB, and move on? No doubt, I would really say that no doubt that I would really say that it is not an easy decision. If for most of us, we really, for those who are already staying in HDB flat, we are used to staying in a HDB flat. We have the convenience, and the loan repayment is so low. And the loan repayment is so low, it's so affordable. I don't have to stretch my budget and then have to top up the additional money mortgage loan. But on the other hand, you can put it in this perspective. If let's say you were to sell your HDB flat, and in the interim, there might be a little inconvenience here and there. But at the end of the 10-year cycle, right, what you are observing is a price appreciation. You have more opportunity to decide what you can do. If you were to sell away your 2.3 million property, you can choose to downgrade or choose to sell. You can choose to downgrade to a HDB if you want to, if you prefer that during your retirement time, and still use the balance sales proceed to buy another 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom for investment purposes, and you can work around this sales proceed. On the other hand, if let's say you decided that you don't want to actually sell the property and you decide to keep and never mind, I'll wait first. now the price is at the record high. I shouldn't do anything. It's not to my benefits. And then what you are observing is maybe you don't have much option at the end. So I also feel that it is really necessary, because we also want to prepare ourselves for retirement and also for our family. So in a way, property planning is also asset planning, and it also will help us to pass on our legacy to our beloved one, our dearest family. So what we have also learned from the history, I remember then in 2020, there was a virus, and I remember there was a stagnant period, where a little stagnant period there. People were thinking that maybe I talked to some buyers, so buyers said, no, we wait lah, the price will actually go down. But in the end, it didn't. So in the end, the price continued to increase. And as we can see, 2 years later, as of today, right, the property prices have increased. So now in 2022, we have the virus, we have the cooling measure by the government. Further, ABSC local, we have to pay 17% more to buy for our second property. This amount is indeed significant. There were buyers who I met, they decided to hold their second property purchase because of the increment of the ABSC. And some have to actually change their plan to sell away the HDB before they buy the next property. And also the current war in Ukraine, more crisis. Indeed, more crisis after another crisis. Does it give us more opportunity? And as we are also aware, Singapore, we are shortage of land here. So the prices of the land still have not actually go down from our history. So what will happen in future? So with that, I also want to share one example. With that, I actually want to share with you one real life example that I've actually come across. So I actually met this client, this owner, HDB owner. They were staying in the east side. So I met them. So they said that, hey, Joey, I want to find out what is the sales proceed. What are my options if I were to actually sell my HDB? Because they were saying that, hey, this HDB is like getting old already, and then there are some problems here and there in the house, and how to spend money to repair it. And at that moment when I met the couple, right, the husband actually, very unfortunately, the husband actually have a heart problem, heart issue. So about a year ago, then thereafter he was actually forced to in a way he leave his job, I think. So in the end, right, he lost his income, and he was actually the biggest breadwinner in the family. And of course, his wife is also working. So at that point, when the husband was working, he didn't actually have this plan to sell the HDB. So now they were actually asking, because they saw that there were a new BTO flat next to theirs. So they were thinking, hey, maybe I can sell away this old HDB flat and then buy the one next to them. So I did a calculation. Then because of the husband, I did a calculation based on the sales proceed. But because of the husband is currently not working, so based on the wife income, it is not quite possible to get the loan to top up and then buy the new flat. So it was really I feel a little bit sad for them, because if they can actually plan earlier, when the husband is still working and earning the good income, he could bought the new property. Another property, like it can be a private property, or it could be a newer HDB too. So what happened is he didn't do anything. They didn't do any planning. So they were caught by unexpected crisis, health crisis. And now when they think they might want to plan something, they can't. So they may need to take some time and see what is other available options. Maybe when the husband is in better health, he can take out a job. And then from there, we can work out the loan amount. But once again, because the husband is also not young anymore, so the amount of the loan and the tenure is also a lot lesser compared to when he was younger. So this will also affect the ability to purchase for next property, the kind of property. However, one may argue also that yeah, if he really buy the property, then he cannot afford to pay for the property. Then isn't it, would they get into a worse situation? Yes and no. If you have proper planning and then the property have appreciated, they could, if really due to this kind of unexpected situation, they could still sell it off and then earn the profits. So I think whatever the situation that is, we always have to adopt proper planning for our own self, our family, our property. This is to live, to have our planning. I think this is really important. And also, there were also clients that I actually met, right? They were saying, yeah, I should have bought the property years ago, my second property. Now, even if I want to buy another property, I have to pay the additional ABSD unless I sell away the current existing property. But remember, this was all in the past. They could have done it much earlier, but they did not take action because they were worried and they were fearful and they were hesitant of the risk. But so long as you can do a proper planning of the risk of the financial calculation, this risk will be minimized. So I think whatever decision we take, right, it should be a calculated one, a planned one. So with that, I go to the last part. Yeah, so there's a saying that the way to become rich is to make money, not to save it. And how to do it is probably do a proper property planning. And I also would like to share that PropNext is having a property expo whereby our CEO and our director, Mr. Calvin Fong, is sharing a lot of very, very valuable information. So if you'd like to find out more about this property expo, which is happening this current weekend, it has already began the last weekend. So do reach out to me. I'll share with you more information about that. So in summary, right, yes, I do agree that do not sell your HDB. If let's say you are not prepared, you don't have a proper planning, and not proper planning and in terms of financial, in terms of for your next home. And if the market situation is not favorable for you to sell your current property, then yes, do not sell HDB. However, having said that, if you are looking on a long-term plan, right, it could be beneficial for people like you and me to have another option. Maybe we should have a better planning, sell and upgrade so that we can use the appreciation for our retirement funds, or maybe for rainy day. We really never know. However, by doing so, it may mean that we have to work harder and take it as a form of forced saving when we pay the higher mortgage loan. But at the end of it, if it does benefit you, I think it's worth doing it. Thank you for watching this video. If you do think that the content is valuable and informative, do like and share this video, this episode with your friends. Thank you. I'm Joey here. See you again in the next episode.